Hello, it's good to have you back. All right, we're looking at question 65. Still looking at indirect rule. Indirect rule encouraged the rise of nationalism. The educated elites were not comfortable with how the British were, instead of making use of the educated elites, the British made use of who? Traditional rulers. When you have intelligent people, they prefer to use the traditional rulers. So it gave rise to nationalism. Your answer is D. Please take note of this. Okay, 66. The major external factor that promoted nationalism in Nigeria was Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism. That bond, that Africanness, to show that I'm an African. I'm supposed to rule myself. I'm not supposed to be under any colonial rule. Pan-Africanism. It spread even down to the West Indies, to Jamaica, to Nigeria, to Ghana, name it. Pan-Africanism. The unity of the black man. Unity of the Negroes. Pan-Africanism. Please take note of this. A is your answer. Okay, 67. Nationalism in Africa eventually led to decolonization. Africans broke free from colonialism. I told you in 1960 alone, about 17 to 18 countries in Africa gained independence. Between 17 to 18 countries gained independence in Africa. So, decolonization. The basic unit of government in pre-colonial Yoruba land was is the empire. I told you, you will call it either the Yoruba land or Old Oyo Empire. So, is the empire. B is your answer. Now we're looking at constitutional development in Nigeria. We've looked at pre-colonial administration. We've looked at colonial administration. We've looked at nationalism. Now we're looking at constitutional development. Okay, the council was created in 1914. Remember in 1914, that was when Nigeria had her amalgamation, joining together of the Northern and Southern Protectorate. Take note of that. Okay, which was done by Lord Lugard. Okay, all right. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, all right. The National Congress of British West Africa. I would want you to read this because this talks about also about the growth of nationalism and the involvement of African elites. So I need you to read this as well. On your own, read it up. Okay. All right. Read this as well. Okay, let's talk about one or two things before we go to the question. Effect of the NCBWA. Africans were elected into the Legislative Council. That is it. Then again, it said, introduction of elective principles in Nigeria. I told you that the Clifford Constitution brought elective principles. We brought Nigeria's first political party. The first political party in Nigeria was formed in 1923 by Herbert Macaulay. Take note of this. So, okay, let's go to the next slide. It didn't also stop there. Also, we had the newspaper, the Daily News, which was formed in 1925. Effect of NCBWA. All right. Now let's look at our past questions. Which of the following governors of Nigeria opposed the demands of the National Congress of British West Africa? You should know the answer. The answer is Lord Frederick Lugard. He opposed it. So the A is your answer. A is your answer. 71. One of the major features of the constitution operative in the British West African colonies during the 1920s was the It's still the same thing. Elective principles. A. Elective principles. 72. A landmark of the Liechtenstein Constitution was dash. Now, you will be seeing questions like the Clifford Constitution of 1922 here, the Richard Constitution of 1946, the Macpherson Constitution of 1951, the Liechtenstein Constitution of 1954. So we're talking about the Liechtenstein Constitution. What did it do? B, creation of a second chamber at the center. Creation of the second chamber at the center. So B is the answer. 73. Africans were first elected to the Legislative Council in British West Africa in dash. The answer is D, Nigeria. Nigeria is your answer. Nigeria is your answer. Okay. Under the Independence Constitution, the head of government was the dash. Tricky question, but not tricky as well. Now we're talking about the Independence Constitution. Nigeria gained her independence in 1960. As of 1960, they still had, the Queen was still in charge. I hope you know that, in as much as we were still, we had gained our independence. So then the British was practicing what the parliamentary system of government. Under the Independence Constitution, Nigeria was practicing a parliamentary system of government. The head of government was the Prime Minister. Please take note of that. The head of state was the President. The Prime Minister in 1960 was who? Do you remember? Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was the Prime Minister. Nnamdi Azikiwe was the President. But he was the President and the head of state. His position was ceremonial. Please take note of this. His position was ceremonial. So the answer is C, the Prime Minister. 75. Nationalist agitation began in Nigeria with the dash. Formation of West African Youth League in 1935. It's not the annexation of Lagos in 1861. It is the formation of West African Youth League in 1935. That was what led to nationalist agitation in Nigeria. B is your answer. Okay, we are looking at another topic, military rule in Nigeria. Military rule in Nigeria. This is the second to the last topic. Now, the first military coup in Africa, the first military coup in Africa was in 1952 in Egypt. Now, the first military coup in Nigeria. The first coup in Nigeria was on January 15th, 1966. This military coup led to the death of about 14 to 15 persons, but prominently is the northern premier, the premier of the northern region, Ahmadu Bello, the premier of the western region, S.L. Akintola. It led to the death of Nigeria's Prime Minister, Tafawa Balewa, the Golden Voice. Name it. So it saw even the minister of finance at that time, Okoti, it led to his death at the first coup. The first coup was carried out by Chukwuma Kaduna Nzelgo. Let me just put N. Yes, abbreviation. So he carried out the first coup in Nigeria. It led to the death. The first coup in Nigeria is regarded as an Igbo coup because most of the people that died in that coup were non-Igbos. Now, there was a reprisal coup. What do we mean by reprisal? Like a retaliation. The second coup in Nigeria took place on July 29, 1966. It was led by second coup in Nigeria, July 29, 1966. It was led by Aguiyi Ironsi. Now, we have bloody coup and bloodless coup. Take note of this. We've had about 8 to 9 coups in Nigeria. 5 of these coups have been successful. 3 of the coups have been unsuccessful. Please, I need you to take note of this. So I want you to read up coup military rule in Nigeria. Now, most of the constitution, since independence from 1960 till date, all the constitutions we've had in Nigeria was formed by the military. Please take note of this. It was the things that happened in the second coup that led to the aftermath of the second coup were the things that led to the 1967 Nigerian Civil War. I need you to read up on it just to refresh your memory about military rule in Nigeria. Let's look at reasons for military intervention in politics. When the process of changing political leadership is in doubt, the military does what? Intervenes. The last military administration we had in Nigeria was the last military administration ended in 1999. They handed over to a civilian government on May 29, 1999. Please take note of this. May 29, 1999. Okay. Politicization of the army. These are the reasons for military intervention in politics. Nepotism, tribalism, favoritism, which perverts justice. All right. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, regional differences, corruption, abuse of office. Now, before we go further, government students, this is the Fourth Republic. Take note of this. The Fourth Republic began on May 29, 1999. You know what a republic is. I shouldn't tell you, you should know that. So this is the Fourth Republic. The Fourth Republic has been on. This is the 26th year of the Fourth Republic. So take note of this. All right, let's continue. Okay, achievements of military rule in Nigeria. Creation of all the states in Nigeria were created by the military. All the states in Nigeria were created by the military. The National Youth Service. Please read up. Okay, let's look at the past questions on military rule in Nigeria. The Armed Forces Ruling Council is attributable to the Dash regime. The answer is Ibrahim Babangida's regime. Okay, the second military coup d'etat in Nigeria took place on Dash. I already said it. The answer is C, July 29, 1966. July 29, 1966. The first school was on January 15, 1966, the same year. The indirect dimension of changing the government is known as what? Indirect dimension. Indirect dimension is coup d'etat. A. Coup d'etat. Okay. The first military coup in Nigeria occurred on dash January 15th, 1966. That is the answer. Okay, during the Civil War, the major power that expressed moral support for Biafra's self-determination was dash. The answer is C, France. France supported the Biafran government at that time. Okay, we're looking at another topic, Nigeria's foreign policy. When we talk about Nigeria's foreign policy, we simply mean bringing it down to the layman's language, how Nigeria relates with other countries around her, her bilateral relations with other countries in the world, and the international organizations she belongs to. That is what we simply mean. Okay, it says Nigeria foreign policy refers to decisions, actions taken by the policymaker of status to pursue her interests. Yes, how Nigeria pursues her interests in the international community. So while Nigeria is a member of this organization or relates with other countries, it's for personal interest to promote herself in the international community. Please take note of this. So I need you to read up. Let's look at the aims and objectives of Nigeria's foreign policy. Number one, like I said, to promote national interest of the country and the citizens. Nigeria does this to promote her interest amongst countries in the world and her citizens. Very important. That is the essence of having embassies in different countries of the world. Take note of this. Take note. When we study international organization and we go deep, I need you to read up on this topic. All right, let's go. To promote friendly and cooperation among member nations, other countries of the world. Yes, they have business dealings, bilateral relations with other countries. To uphold the principles of non-alignment with any power bloc. You remember non-alignment? Good. You know the power bloc. You know the power bloc? Good. All right. To show respect for the sovereign equality of all nations. To defend the sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of Nigeria. That is the essence of Nigeria's foreign policy. To promote Nigeria, that is why we have embassy. You have an ambassador. The ambassador is a representative of Nigeria in another country. So what the ambassador does is to promote Nigeria in a good light. That country he or she finds himself or herself. So that is the essence. To assist African states in search of solutions to their problems. Okay, to also defend and promote world peace. Let's go to our questions. All right. The basis of Nigerian foreign policy, trust, particularly during the independence constitution era, was dash. Afrocentric. Take note of this. Afrocentric within Africa. So let's go. Nigeria's foreign policy is influenced by its position as a major exporter of dash. Nigeria is a major exporter of what? Petroleum, which is a natural resources. It's not only petroleum, but petroleum is the major. So Nat B is the answer, natural resources. It says Nigeria's foreign policy is guided by the principle of dash. National interest, like I said earlier on. Nigeria's foreign policy, the major reason is to promote Nigeria in the international community. Her interest in the international community. So the answer is what? National interest. C. 4. Nigeria's ideal of Africa as the centerpiece of her foreign policy includes all of the following except support for apartheid. No. Remember, Nigeria played the big brother role during South Africa's apartheid. Yes, Nigeria played the big brother role at that time. So the answer is A, except, don't always forget this. Promotion of African unity, yes. Creation of Nigeria's mission in Africa. Settling of disputes in Africa. Nigeria has played big brother role in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, in South Africa, name them. So that is it. All right. The Technical Aid Corps scheme in Nigeria aims at strengthening relations with dash African countries. Yes, African countries. Yeah, wow. We have come to the end of this section. We've been able to explain different topics, about 9 topics and 85 questions. I hope you have something to pick. I hope you have something to learn. So go back. So when you're reading your government notes, your textbooks, take note of these questions and it will help you. Some of these questions are questions that are repeated often. That is why you're seeing them here. They are repeated often. I wish you success in the 2025 UTME exams. All the best.